So Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee were just revealed, and they're the first major Pokemon games for the Switch. And I know they aren't the main series Pokemon games that are going to be coming to the Switch later on, and are more of spin-off type compatible games with Pokemon Go, but I was still pretty disappointed that it looked almost identical to a 3DS Pokemon game, or if you really think about it, any Pokemon game. And it made me think, are Pokemon games even good? And I might get some backlash for this, but I don't really care. I don't think Pokemon games are all that good. And I bet the majority of people watching are thinking, no, Pokemon games are amazing, dude! And not only do I think I have pretty solid reasoning for why Pokemon games aren't very good, I think I know why so many people love these games anyway. And I know that the last time I made a Pokemon video, I said I hadn't played much Pokemon, but I've played a lot more recently, and I feel like if you've played a few, you kinda know what the series is all about. So hello all 320 of you, I'm Red Quan, and this is why Pokemon games aren't that good, and why people like them anyway. Now, I might have felt bad making this video a week ago, but you know what? The Pokemon Company really messed me up, you know? So first, it was the Switch May report. They announced Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee one day after I'm done editing, and then it goes up the next day and immediately obsolete. So that's pretty cool. And then strike two was that they took down the stinking video after 11 minutes, and I didn't even know for like 5 hours. I mean, maybe that's my bad partially. But the thing is, you know what? I don't feel bad anymore, Pokemon. You struck out. I don't know what strike 3 was, but you struck out, Pokemon. So let's first look at the gameplay in Pokemon. The only real and legitimate gameplay that you'll experience in Pokemon is the battles. You have to battle to make progress, you have to battle to build a team, you have to battle to get better. There isn't a lot of difference between Pokemon and a lot of other one-on-one turn-based RPGs in that sense, admittedly, but most of those games either have a much more in-depth story or some other type of gameplay when the player isn't battling, like solving puzzles or platforming. In Pokemon, you battle, and then you run to the next battle. And the thing is, Pokemon battles aren't especially fun either. The only real strategy they take is to use the right move from the right Pokemon, and once you've figured out the best move in Pokemon, there really isn't any interesting strategy. Sure, you can heal Pokemon, but the battle isn't very deep or engaging. It just comes down to picking the right Pokemon and the right move, and watching your Pokemon win. And a lot of times, all it really comes down to is grinding and battling over and over again, so you can get good enough to just run through everyone. The battling system, the main piece of gameplay, and basically the only interaction you'll have in that game, isn't very deep or fun to do, which means that the actual game isn't all that exciting. The story in the games are okay, but certainly not anything groundbreaking, and besides battling, you mainly just walk around. But the most exciting part of the games for most Pokemon fans isn't the story or the battling, it's finding and catching different Pokemon. It isn't the main part of the game, there isn't really any gameplay to it at all, and if there is, it's just more battling. But people love catching Pokemon anyway, even if there really isn't any unique or exciting gameplay to it. And what that comes down to is people liking the Pokemon themselves, and being happy to find them, and people enjoying searching for hard-to-get stuff. And while those are legitimate reasons to like a game, those activities have nothing to do with Pokemon being a good game. Just because a Pokemon looks cool or has a funny design or is rare, doesn't mean that the game is fun. And enjoying running into the same tall grass 200 times to find some special creature is only exciting to somebody because it's rare, not because the activity itself is enjoyable. Also, that's a little obsessive, but hey, you can run in there 2,000 times if you really want, it doesn't affect me. So that's my reasoning for why Pokemon is objectively not a great game. The things you do are repetitive, and none of the activities are actually very fun. But the real question is, if the games aren't all that great, why do people love them so much? Well, I have a few ideas about that too. For one, Pokemon is a super popular series for young kids. A kid has their Nintendo handheld and runs around playing Pokemon. Pokemon became a part of so many people's lives at an early age, and they just stuck with it. I think people partially love Pokemon because they remember having a bunch of fun playing it when they were younger, and they think they still enjoy it. I think a lot of the reason I don't care for it is because I never played Pokemon games when I was like 7 or whatever, so I don't have any special connection with the series as so many people do. I can see that there really isn't a whole lot there, a lot more objectively, because I didn't play the games back in the day. I think that's also a big reason why some people say that the new Pokemon games aren't as good as the old ones. But I haven't really played the original games or anything, so maybe they actually are a lot better. but I would guess that people liked them when they were young, and as they got older they realized that they weren't actually all that great of games, but assumed that since they liked the older games when they played them, that they must have been good games and the newer ones just stopped being good. The other reason I think people like Pokemon games so much is the Pokemon themselves. Obviously, Pokemon are a big part of Pokemon games, but I think if there weren't fun little creatures that people collected and fought with, Pokemon would not be a big series at all. If you collected coins that did everything that Pokemon did, and the gameplay was exactly the same, I don't think Pokemon would ever have been successful at all. It might have been a commercial flop if not for the Pokemon characters. But do the Pokemon being cute animals add anything to the gameplay? Do they make the game better? I don't think they do. If you turn the animals into some object or less fun things, and give it to a bunch of 20-year-olds who have never played Pokemon, keeping every other aspect the exact same, I bet the response would be pretty mediocre at best. Well, this has been How to Lose Subscribers 101. I mean, are Pokemon games even good? If I'm being honest, I don't really think the games themselves are very good. The battling isn't especially fun, the only other gameplay is walking around a very linear path to your next battle, and the story isn't really anything special. I think people only really like the games because they played them when they were younger and just kept going, and because they think Pokemon look cool. Well, what do you think about Pokemon and how good of a game it really is? I don't think many people will side with me on this one, but I kinda brought this on myself. Anyways, I'm Red Quan, thank you all for watching, and I'll hopefully see you all later. Goodbye. Once you've figured out the best move in Pokemon, there really isn't much interesting strategy.